A whisper passes through the flower valley, carried not by wind, but by the tension of secrets unfolding. The records, recently dusted and buried in the annals of the Crippling Night Demon Sect, speak of Chu Feng's body defying even the Earth King's spirit formation, its core erupting like a storm when the mark of the broken moon sought to bind him. Now, with Zi Ling's fate tethered to the distant reaches of the Zi family, and no Immortal Execution Archipelago expert in sight, a solitary figure races through the blooms of the valley, the weight of hope and dread pressing against his chest. The night has passed, the mountains have borne witness, and in the quiet before confrontation, the stage is set for a reckoning that even the stars seem hesitant to watch. In this chapter of Legend of African recap, Martial God Asura, Chapter 807-808, the threads of power, loyalty, and mystery begin to intertwine, and the question lingers: what awaits when the unguarded becomes a battlefield? In the shadow of a single name, Chu Feng's heart began to thunder: Zi Ling. The girl who had once seemed lost beyond reach might not be guarded by the towering claws of the Immortal Execution Archipelago after all. And if heaven had truly left even one narrow path open, then Chu Feng would carve through darkness itself to reach her. "Brothers, you are far too skilled at teasing me," Chu Feng said, forcing an awkward smile as he shook his head. "I have no hatred toward Lady Zi Ling. Why would I ever wish to harm her? I merely asked out of curiosity." His words sounded light, almost embarrassed, but deep within his chest, waves were crashing. What he had just learned shook him more fiercely than any battle drum. Before this moment, Chu Feng had always believed there was a real chance that Zi Ling had already been taken away by the Immortal Execution Archipelago. And even if she had not been brought directly into their grasp, he had imagined the Zi family would be sealed under layers upon layers of formidable guards. Yet according to Yu Tonghan's words, Zi Ling was presently still within the Zi family. More than that, the people watching over that place were not terrifying peak experts. At the very least, there did not seem to be anyone whose strength surpassed Yu Tonghan's. Otherwise, Yu Tonghan could never have moved in and out so freely, as though slipping through mist between mountain cliffs. Because of that, a bold thought swiftly took shape in Chu Feng's mind. Since the Immortal Execution Archipelago had not stationed supreme-level protectors at the Zi family, then he would go there himself. He would step into the Flower Valley. He would seek out Zi Ling. He would bring her away. If he could truly rescue her from that cage, then the mountain-like weight that had been pressing on Chu Feng's heart for so long would finally crack apart and fall into dust. That night, the group remained within the mountain range to rest. Beneath the vast sky and the cold breath of the peaks, they spoke for a long while. Each man carrying his own burden, each one walking a road that could not be shared forever. When morning light spread across the ridges the next day, it was time for them to separate and travel their own paths. "Wu Qing," the Earth King said before they parted, his voice steady and solemn, "since you have agreed to enter the Crippling Night Demon Sect, I must place a mark upon your back. It will make things more convenient in the future. With it, members of the sect can recognize one another more easily, and I will also be able to locate you through that mark." Chu Feng had already anticipated this. He did not hesitate or speak further. He simply removed the upper part of his clothing, exposing his strong, tempered back to the Earth King. Chu Feng understood what was about to happen. The Earth King intended to carve the sect's special imprint into his body. Since Chu Feng had already chosen to join the Crippling Night Demon Sect, he naturally had no reason to reject such a thing. The Earth King wasted no time. His hand moved through the air with practiced authority, and the surrounding space trembled as a formation began to unfold. Golden spirit formation power surged out, bright and mighty, gathering into a vast and intricate spiritual procedure that carried the aura of an ancient sect. As the Earth King continued shaping the formation, its lines gradually formed the image of a broken moon. Chu Feng also noticed a small but important detail hidden within the structure. The Earth King had woven Chu Feng's name into the mark itself, creating an indication that belonged to him alone, something unique and unmistakable. "Fuse?" At last, the Earth King gave a sharp command. The spirit formation lifted into the air, its brilliant radiance gathering and condensing. Its overall shape shrank many times over, and as it compressed, its golden glow darkened into black. Under the Earth King's control, the broken moon mark drifted toward Chu Feng's back, ready to enter his flesh. But the instant the broken moon emblem of the Crippling Night Demon Sect sank into Chu Feng's back and prepared to establish a connection with his dantian, a strange ripple suddenly spread from within him. The Earth King's expression changed ever so slightly. His brows tightened, as if he had sensed something unusual hidden deep inside Chu Feng's body. Even so, he did not stop. He continued guiding the mark inward, trying to merge it with Chu Feng completely. Boom! Yet at the very moment the mark was about to connect with Chu Feng's dantian, a powerful explosion erupted from within his body. That force burst outward without warning, and the broken moon mark that the Earth King had painstakingly formed was shattered on the spot, wiped away completely. Even the Earth King, a true martial king, was forced to retreat several steps. The color drained from his face in an instant, and his body began to tremble slightly, as though he had just been struck by an unseen heavenly force. Lord Earth King, are you all right? Old Liu and the others were greatly alarmed by the sight. Their expressions changed at once, and they hurried forward to support him. The Earth King merely raised a hand and waved it lightly, signaling that he was fine. But soon after, his gaze returned to Chu Feng, carrying a depth that was difficult to read. "Wuqing," he said, "there appears to be a special power within your dantian. That power resisted my attempt to merge the mark into you. What exactly is it?" "Senior, I am not certain either." Chu Feng shook his head, his face showing a trace of confusion, as though he truly did not know what had happened. When the Earth King saw Chu Feng's reaction, he seemed to understand that this was likely one of Chu Feng's private secrets. Since Chu Feng did not wish to explain further, the Earth King did not press him. Instead, he said, "If that is the case, then take this. Remember, you must carry it with you at all times. Do not place it inside your cosmos sack. With this item, if anything happens, we will still be able to contact you." As he spoke, the Earth King took out a badge. He imprinted a special mark upon it, then handed it over to Chu Feng. The badge was black, dark as a moonless night. On it was the emblem of the Crippling Night Demon Sect, along with a unique mark. So long as Chu Feng kept it on his person, no matter where he went, the Earth King would have a way to find him. "Thank you, Senior Earth King." Chu Feng accepted the badge and followed the instruction. He did not place it into his cosmos sack. Instead, he tucked it into his pocket. In his heart, he knew the Earth King bore him no ill will. This badge would be an important object for maintaining contact with the Crippling Night Demon Sect in the future. "Then we shall separate here," the Earth King said. "If something arises later, I will find a way to contact each of you. We will take our leave." Xianxia was eager to return and report everything to his master, so he was the first to depart. Not long afterward, Yu Tonghan and Fu Fengming also left. "Seniors, I shall also take my leave." Chu Feng's thoughts were already fixed entirely on Zi Ling. He could not remain in that place for long. He clasped his fists toward the Earth King and the 10 Gold Cloak brothers, then sprang forward, his figure flashing away with great speed. "Lord Earth King," Old Liu asked with deep curiosity after Chu Feng had gone, "what is unusual about Wuqing's body? Even the mark of the Crippling Night Demon Sect could not merge with him." "It is indeed unusual," the Earth King replied slowly. "Within his dantian, there is a force that rejected the mark I created. The mark was destroyed in a single instant." "What kind of thing could it be?" Old Liu asked again, astonishment in his voice. "How could it possess such power?" "I do not know," the Earth King said, "but it was truly powerful." At that moment, a strange gleam passed through the Earth King's aged eyes. When he recalled the force that had swept out from Chu Feng's body, even someone of his cultivation could not help but feel a deep trace of fear mingle with that glint. Naturally, Chu Feng did not hear the conversation between the Earth King and Old Liu. After learning that Zi Ling was being imprisoned by the patriarch of the Zi family, and that there seemed to be no experts from the Immortal Execution Archipelago guarding her, Chu Feng hurried toward Zi Ling without pause, like an arrow released from a drawn bowstring. After traveling without rest for some time, crossing distance after distance with his heart burning like a furnace, Chu Feng finally arrived at the Zi family of the Flower Valley. The name Flower Valley was not empty poetry. It truly was a valley, and though its territory was not especially vast, countless flowers of every color filled the land within. Their petals painted the valley in brilliant shades, and so the place came to be known by that name. However, in the Eastern Sea region, valleys filled with flowers were not rare. There were many places that could claim such beauty. What truly made this flower valley known was the Zi family. And what truly made the Zi family famous was the birth of Zi Ling more than 10 years earlier. When a divine body appeared in the world, it would not descend silently. It would create a unique phenomenon, a heavenly scene that drew the eyes of all. Back then, many people had witnessed that extraordinary sight. Later, once the Immortal Execution Archipelago confirmed that a true divine body had indeed been born, Zi Ling became the fiancée of the Immortal Execution Archipelago. At that time, the Immortal Execution Archipelago had not yet ruled over the Eastern Sea region. Even so, it had already revealed its terrifying strength and towering foundation. Because of that, everyone believed the Zi family was destined to rise swiftly in power. After all, leaving aside the legendary significance of a divine body, the protection of the Immortal Execution Archipelago alone was enough to make people believe that the Zi family's future would inevitably become powerful. Before the storm ever reveals its lightning, there is always one breath of silence. And in that silence, a lone young man stood outside the gates of a flourishing clan, watching honor and splendor rise like painted banners in the wind. But in his eyes, that prosperity was not glory. It was a debt of blood. Everything had unfolded exactly as many had foreseen. Once the Immortal Execution Archipelago extended its vast hand toward the Zi family, resources, protection, and influence poured in like a mighty river, breaking through a mountain pass. With such backing, the Zi family's power did not merely improve. It surged upward at a frightening speed. In the beginning, they had been nothing more than a minor household. Their foundation was so weak that they did not even possess half the dignity of a martial lord. Yet now, martial lords had begun appearing among them one after another, like sharp bamboo shoots after spring rain. Even among the younger generation, there were many who had reached impressive heights. The Zi family of the present day was no longer small, nor was it quiet. It had grown grand, lively, and powerful. In fact, its momentum had already pushed it beyond several clans that carried inherited bloodlines. To the outside world, there was only one explanation for this rise. Everyone believed the Zi family owed its present status entirely to the Immortal Execution Archipelago, compared with the so-called divine body, whose name had yet to shake the seas through countless achievements. People admired something else far more. They admired the Zi family's ability to win the favor and assistance of a force as mighty as the Immortal Execution Archipelago. Yet beneath those dazzling rumors, beneath the praise and admiration, lay a truth that outsiders could not see. The Immortal Execution Archipelago had never truly embraced the Zi family out of kindness. What they coveted was not marriage, alliance, or affection. Their eyes had been fixed on Zi Ling's divine power from the very beginning. They had no sincere desire to welcome Zi Ling as a bride. In their hidden scheme, Zi Ling was nothing more than a precious offering prepared for Marong Sun. Still, no matter how dark the roots beneath the soil, one thing could not be denied. The Zi family had indeed become prosperous. Their strength had risen, yes, but even more important than that was their reputation. Their name had spread. Their doors had become heavier. Their status had become brighter. And recently, another rumor had swept through the Eastern Sea region, like fragrant wind through a valley of flowers. It was said that Zi Ling possessed a beauty unmatched beneath the heavens. People even ranked her among the 3 greatest beauties of the Eastern Sea region. Because of that single rumor, countless visitors came seeking an audience with the Zi family, all hoping for one chance to glimpse her face. When faced with these eager guests, the Zi family did not accept everyone blindly. They filtered the crowd, turning away many while receiving those with greater names and higher standing. But in truth, no matter how famous the visitor, the Zi family did not easily allow anyone to see Zi Ling. And at that very moment, Chu Feng stood outside the Zi family's territory. His gaze passed over the heart of Flower Valley, where the Zi family estate stood radiant and bustling. Distinguished guests moved in and out without pause. Wealth, splendor, and celebration seemed to hang in the air like lantern light. To others, it may have looked like a scene of glory. But to Chu Feng, every flash of luxury was hateful. Every laugh beyond those gates sounded like an insult. In his eyes, there was no admiration, no curiosity, no peace. There was only cold, burning hatred. Wind whispered across the valley. Shadows shifted. And in the next instant, Chu Feng moved. Though the Zi family's defenses were strict, though guards watched every important path, and though experts were gathered like clouds around a peak, such obstacles could not truly stop him. For Chu Feng, slipping through their defenses was not an impossible feat. It was merely a matter of timing, skill, and concealment. After entering the grounds, he quickly selected someone whose body shape was close to his own. With one swift strike, he rendered that person unconscious before the man could even cry out. Chu Feng then took the man's clothing and altered his own appearance, reshaping his face until he resembled the person he had subdued. Once his disguise was complete, Chu Feng began gathering information. Step by step, word by word, he inquired about the location of the Zi family's prison. He wove lies when needed, used tricks when useful, and relied on precise methods to pass each barrier. Like a shadow sliding beneath a closed door, he finally infiltrated the prison. The moment he entered, the air changed. This was not the fragrant world of flowers outside. This was a place of cold stone, dim light, and suffering. Cries echoed through the corridors. A tortured voice rang out, begging again and again for mercy. The man cried that he had already said everything, that there was nothing left to confess. Pain twisted his voice until each word trembled. He pleaded for it to stop, but the sounds of torment continued to haunt the prison walls. The Zi family's prison was enormous. Within it were all kinds of prisoners. Some lay quietly, as if they had been trapped there for so many years that resistance had already been worn away. Others were being interrogated, forced to endure the cruelty of punishment and torture. But Chu Feng did not allow his attention to scatter. He had not come for them. His purpose was sharper than any blade. At that moment, he activated his heaven's eyes and spread out his spirit power, searching every corner, every chamber, every trace of energy. He wanted clues. He wanted any sign that could lead him to Zi Ling. Yet after sweeping through the entire prison, he found no trace of her, not even the smallest sign. But although Zi Ling was not there, Chu Feng discovered someone familiar. Inside a sealed chamber, there was an elderly man. His clothes were not torn, and his appearance was not battered like those who had been tortured. Yet his face had grown thin, his complexion dull and drained, as though heavy worry had eaten away at him day after day. That old man was none other than Zi Ling's grandfather, Zi Xuanyuan. There were no shackles on his body. Even the prison cell that held him was unlike the others. It was not damaged, filthy, or crude. Instead, it was whole, refined, and almost elegant. Rather than a true prison cell, it seemed as if someone had forcefully transformed it into a luxurious room. Within that strange chamber stood a fine bed and various beautiful furnishings. There were also plates of delicious food, as well as cultivation resources placed openly for him to use as he pleased. At that moment, Zi Xuanyuan sat in a chair with one leg crossed over the other, calmly drinking tea. His cultivation had also risen. He had truly reached the peak of the heaven realm, but behind him stood several young men. Judging by their presence, they were likely also members of the Zi family. Most of them possessed cultivation in the heaven realm. However, among them was a man in his 30s whose strength had already stepped into the martial lord level. He was a rank 1 martial lord. One of the young men spoke with a harsh tone. "Old man, do not reject kindness now only to be forced later. The patriarch wants you to persuade Zi Ling. So go and persuade her. Stop acting like some respected master in this place. You know better than anyone what will happen if you refuse to listen." The speaker was clearly a junior of the Zi family, yet when facing Zi Xuanyuan, he showed not the slightest respect. His voice carried no honor toward an elder. He spoke as though Zi Xuanyuan were nothing more than a convicted prisoner. Zi Xuanyuan lifted his head. A mocking light surfaced in his old eyes. Persuade her? Persuade her to do what? To step willingly into a pit of flames, all so you greedy creatures can satisfy your desires? The young man's face tightened with fury. Rage surged into his eyes, and he immediately raised his hand, preparing to strike Zi Xuanyuan. But before the blow could descend, another voice cut through the chamber. Stop! It was the man with the strength of a rank 1 martial lord who had spoken. He seemed to be the leader of this small group. The moment he shouted, the others withdrew to the side and fell silent. The leader took 2 steps towards Zi Xuanyuan. A false smile rested on his face, smooth on the surface yet venomous beneath. Senior Yuanshan, no matter how you look at it, Murongxun is the #1 genius of the Eastern Sea region. Countless famous and outstanding women dream of marrying him, yet he has turned them away. Such an opportunity is rare beyond measure. Why insist on being stubborn? Go persuade Zi Ling. Persuade her parents as well. Tell them not to remain so obstinate. Do not let their resistance bring disaster upon our entire family. Zi Xuanyuan answered only with a cold snort. His eyes flashed fiercely toward the man for a moment. Then he ignored him and continued sipping the tea in his cup. The man did not immediately lose his temper. Instead, he kept that false smile on his face and continued speaking. Now that matters have reached this stage, Murongxun taking Zi Ling's divine power is already unavoidable. Forget you people. Even if Zi Ling herself refuses, what can she possibly do? 3 years from now, everything she has will belong to Murongxun. Since resistance will only drag the entire Zi family into ruin, why not choose obedience instead? Why not fulfill the wishes of everyone in the Zi family? Zi Xuanyuan's response was not words. He spat. A thick mouthful of phlegm flew directly onto the man's face. How shameless, Zi Xuanyuan said with disgust. The others instantly erupted in anger. Old thing, you are courting death. As they shouted, they raised their hands, ready to attack him. But once again, the leader barked an order and stopped them. Stop. This time, however, the anger on his face could no longer be hidden. A dense killing intent flickered in his eyes like a blade beneath moonlight. Then, suddenly, he reached out. His hands seized Zi Xuanyuan by the clothes, gripping him with savage force. He leaned in and threatened him viciously. Old thing, my grandfather is the patriarch. If I decide to kill you, no one can stop me. But I will give you one chance. Tell me the name of the trash who lives in Zi Ling's heart. Tell me where he is. Do that, and I will spare your life. Zi Xuanyuan burst into loud laughter. His laughter did not carry fear. It carried mockery. He stared at the young man as if looking at a fool. You want to know? Then go ask your grandfather. Why not question him? Could it be that even your grandfather does not dare tell you? I am sure he understands it clearly. If I die, perhaps nothing serious will happen. But if Zi Ling dies, all of you will die with her. And as long as anything happens to him, Zi Ling will no longer have the will to live. That is why even your grandfather does not dare touch him. Yet you, in your foolishness, dare to think about it? It seems you have grown tired of living. The young man's face twisted with humiliation. Enough nonsense. If you refuse to speak, I will beat the answer out of you. His anger exploded. Without wasting another word, he swept his sleeve outward and forced Zi Xuan down onto the ground. Then he pointed at the old man and shouted, Beat him. Beat him until he is barely alive. The command had barely left his mouth before the young men moved in. They rolled up their sleeves and surrounded Zi Xuanyuan, preparing to strike him without mercy. But just as their hands were about to fall, a thunderous explosion tore through the chamber. The prison gate, crafted from special materials and strengthened by purple spirit formations, shattered completely in that instant. Fragments burst apart. Energy roared through the room, and from beyond the broken entrance came an unfamiliar voice, yet one filled with chilling bloodlust. Whoever dares touch him, I will slaughter your entire family.